Hello and welcome to the Junior Internationals Round 2 preview, brought to you by DrivingMaul. Hi, I'm Paul, the guy behind DrivingMaul, your best place for rugby opinion and predictions. And yes, it's round 2 because you know what? South Africa and Wales got ahead of themselves and had a quick game last weekend, which by all accounts was a little bit disastrous. I must admit I missed that one, but I hope to watch a lot of rugby this weekend. A man who will be watching a lot of rugby because I think it is his birthday drinks and he's got the whole day in the pub is Herman. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing fine, but you didn't miss anything with South Africa Wales. We have to repeat that over and over again.
No, I just like to show.
Oh, look at
I've
you!
got my colours on.
Look at you!
But it is. So for those of you listening to the podcast, I'm wearing my England jersey, but it is too cold, and so hence I've got a hoodie on over the top. So yes. Oh dear. But that's not really where we should start, should we? So what I think we're going to do is there is a lot of games on this weekend. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through the Tier 1 games first, and then we'll come back and see how much time we've got at the end to have a look at some of the other the Tier 2 games that are going on, because there is a lot of rugby going on this weekend. And unfortunately, none of it on Friday night. So I'm going to have to go watch Deadpool 2 instead. So anyway, with my personal issues out of the way, crack on. The first Tier 1 game is the All Blacks versus France, and a solid team being named by the All Blacks.
Yes, it is. It is. But there are quite a few. I mean, there are some question marks about form. Obviously, with Sam Cane, Sam Whitelock, and Ryan Crotty, they don't have that much rugby under the belt lately. And I say the big surprise is that Naholo isn't selected even in the 23. That's harsh because. So
we were having a chat last night on the All Blacks edition, and kind of the positions we said that were up for grabs were basically number 8, number 6, as to where would Squire play and who would play the other position. And Squire is starting at number 6, and Luke Whitelock is starting at number 8. I think we came to like kind of that's what we thought they would do, but not necessarily what we wanted them to do as a group. Sam Cane obviously coming back from injury, and one of the things we said there was he would probably start rather than come off the bench, because he's not a bench player. He's a starting style player, and I'd much rather have him on for half an hour at the beginning of the game than half an hour at the end of the game. So that wasn't really a big surprise. The rest of the forwards picked themselves really, as do the halfback pairing. Ryan Crotty, if he was fit, was always going to start. I think we agreed again. Anton Leonard-Brown was the man in possession of the 13 jersey. Again, maybe not the player we would have chosen, but the player we expected to be chosen. And then, as you say, probably the only surprise is that Ben Smith goes to the wing. We obviously knew he would play, but we thought he would go to the wing. So we thought he'd play 15 and we'd have Naholo on the wing, but instead they've decided that they want the booming boot of Geordie Barrett at fullback, and Naholo drops out of the 15 entirely, the 23 entirely, which is kind of where I was going, because I said that I didn't think he would fit in 23 with Damien McKenzie in that 22 jersey, even with his kicking woes last weekend for the Chiefs. He's the guy that can fill in 10, 11, 13, 14, 15. And I thought they would go for a centre. I know Ryan disagreed, but yeah, I'm not actually that surprised to see Lam Happy on the bench.
Yeah, because I mean, it's Naholo just unlucky that neither Geordie Barrett or Rico Ioane has been really great at the centres, because if they had been showing more promise at the centres in Super Rugby, they had more coverage from the centre, and we probably would have gone for Naholo on the bench. So this is just a consequence of that.
No, I think they do like to have a centre on the bench. I mean, Sonny Bill Williams has been on the bench even when they've had someone like Cruden on the bench who can't cover those wide positions. They'd rather have a proper centre replacement than a back three replacement. And they generally have a proper centre replacement in there. Is kind of the All Blacks or Hansen's style of doing things. Jack in the live chat goes, I'd have preferred Moanga ahead of Mackenzie on the bench. Yes, but Moanga is just a 10. Mackenzie has been earmarked, is the future, and can cover multiple places. So that was always going to be how Hansen was going to go, unless Damien McKenzie basically broken his leg. So yeah, whilst I understand people wanting to go with Mo'unga. He didn't even make the squad last year until out of injury, so he's clearly not that highly regarded by the All Blacks coaches.
Not yet, but we'll see how Bowden Barrett, if he brings his wet weather rugby, because I heard the prognosis is going to rain in Auckland on Saturday, and Bodie hasn't looked that good.
Rain in Auckland? Oh wow! Because the weather down in New Plymouth is supposed to be good on Saturday, so I'll have a.
All right, I read on the internet. I could be wrong about this one.
So,
but anyway, Bowden Barrett still has to. Yeah, now he's going to play behind the All Black pack, so that can make a world of a difference. But
no, Saturday's going to be dry.
It's going to be dry. Okay.
So that's not a problem at all. Evening, Ashwin, who is joining us in the live chat this evening. So that's basically the All Blacks. A couple of props who perhaps Tuangafasi, I think we probably expected, but Tuinga Kufe, and sorry about the pronunciation, he gets his first start, or he gets his first thing on the bench. Interesting to see Fafita in there. I think he's a great six. I think he's a bit lightweight for a lock. Not really. I'm not convinced by that selection.
No, I mean there are some. There are some weaknesses in this selection. If some players goes down, they are not going to be. There are a few but in my opinion, we're not enough like for like replacements on the replacement bench this time around. What do you reckon?
That's the only place where I think we've got a problem is for Fafita as a lock, because I don't think I think mainly that problem will come at scrum time. Line out, I think, will be fine. I just think he doesn't necessarily have the weight.
But if Kane goes down early and replace him with Savea, that's going to change the balance completely in the back row.
I think that's fine. I think Julius Savea is a decent 7. He's a different style 7, sure, but I think he would slot into the same space in the team.
All right. Agree to disagree about that one.
I agree with Jack that I would have had probably Romano on the bench, personally. I have a proper lock. That's just my opinion. And then we're going to go ahead across to the French team. You watch a bit more European rugby than I do, so go and take us through what we've got there.
The first big surprise when I looked through the French selection is they don't have that many players from Racing. I was expecting we're going to build a core from Racing players, but it seems like we build a core from La Rochelle players instead. And but the first thing that comes through when I'm looking at the French selection is they have it's a pretty interesting backline there. It's a lot of fantasy and flair going on there. It's not to be taken lightly at all. These boys have both speed, flair, and some grunt in them. And probably the big surprise selection in the French backline is that Morgan Parra is back. This is his first game since. You want to have a guess?
Oh, dear me. First game.
It's easy. It's kind of easy. I just think who's the opponent is.
You're not going back to the Rugby World Cup, are we?
Oh, we are.
Really? 2015 was the last time we played against?
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
And last time he played a threat test for France. So
that's
maybe he'll be fired up. But I think it's having an experienced head there to control Aaron Smith mainly. So don't put a youngster in there. But the guy on the bench, Baptiste Serrain. Oh, did you hear my pronunciation there? Damn, sounded good.
It did. I'm very impressed.
I was lucky. I didn't hear. He's that's a real talent, but I can still see why you don't want to put him in there, because you're seriously in the deep water when you play the All Blacks away and going to play against Aaron Smith. So that's why you go for experienced head there.
True. Talking about that back line, Teddy Thomas back, the first time he's been back since his shenanigans in Edinburgh. And his late night out. Mm-hmm. And one of the things we mentioned last night with him, with Barstereau having his previous form in Wellington, we have some interesting potential off-field headlines for us at some point during this tour. But Teddy Thomas,
I think
Teddy Thomas loves having the ball in hand, and I think we're going to, and I'm going to generalise across the French back line. Great with the ball in hand, as you say. skills, pace, grunt. But defensively, positioning, maybe some question marks around this side.
Oh yeah. It is, but still, that's if there's one duel to look forward to, is his duel with Rico Ioane, because Rico's probably a little bit better on defense, but on offense, I would say that's Teddy Thomas is just as good as Rico Ioane. He has serious pace and serious, he know how to pick good lines. It's a quality operator.
Oh, absolutely. But yeah, so I think if I was New Zealand, I'd be wanting to have ball in hand and attacking this back line. And any scrums I could get, I would definitely be looking forward. I would definitely be looking at putting that through the hands and seeing how Ben Smith or Rico Ioane could get out wide against this sort of side. Geordie Barrett perhaps doesn't have quite the pace. I would having a pacier fullback could be interesting in those sort of situations. But yeah, we'll just have to see how that goes.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't really mentioned the forwards. A bit of a mix.
It's not. We're missing a few first selections here, but to be fair, a few. I mean, Picamoles most people know, but he's been hot and cold for a long time, in my opinion. Like the only time I thought he looked really good lately was he played for Northampton a season, didn't he?
Last season, yeah, not this season. Yep.
Yeah. And then he actually looked fit, so it seems like even it's a little like tougher training and nutrition regime in English club than the French ones. Then he looked like really, really good. So but all these three players are solid top 14 players. And as we also mentioned yesterday, I mean, you don't really worry about the French back row, because if there's one position they have here and like insane depth is there. And usually, I guess, maybe it's similar in many countries, but in France it's to the extreme. But basically, like the most talented guys you get in when you play junior rugby, if you're a real talent, you're going to play back row in France. That's where we're going to put you first. It really, really shares his position. And as you also mentioned yesterday, top 14 is a grind. It's a extreme grind. Even I would go as far to describe it as. So they are going to play in your face, tight rugby against the All Blacks, and they're going to try to take away as much of the momentum they possibly can from the All Blacks. And it seems like the All Blacks actually preparing for this. They don't expect the French team that's going to come out and just play flair rugby. But it's interesting because they have a pretty grunty pack, but there is a lot of flair in among the backs. So if it all clicks for the French, then yes, then we could have a proper test games over hand. But it's a big if. It's a big if.
And we have a bit of a similarity in the French bench. Again, two back rows really rather than a real lock in there, in Leroux and Lampendry. So again, they don't really have a recognised lock or a full-time lock in that position. And
probably the lock with Mastri and Gabriel Yogs. I said that terrible. Paul Gabriel are two players I'm not like that familiar with. I have seen them, but I can. I mean, if they were world class, I would have seen that. So, but I should not be totally unfair because I haven't seen enough from them.
Yeah, Mastri 59 caps. You don't get 59 caps if you're awful. So to be fair, but Gabriel has only 7 caps. So he's going to be a bit raw. I mean, again on that bench, police say the hooker only 5 caps. Bayal, the prop only 8 caps. There's definitely some youth and some inexperience in this side as well.
Yeah, but it's not like crazy experience in the All Blacks front row replacements either, is it?
True, that's true.
So
but anyway,
that's not what we get. And also on the bench, I mean, Gail Ficou, you probably heard about before.
Oh yes.
Yeah. So it's still. I mean, we mentioned it yesterday. I mean, in the perfect world, like if everything clicks for the French and the All Blacks a little bit rusty, this could be very, very interesting. But it's a big if.
It is true. Okay, your prediction. I think last night I said New Zealand by 10.
Yeah, I stand by my prediction. I think All Blacks by 3 points because I still have a sense that the French, they have been when we are quietly confident and we seem to be a happy camp, that's when we are really dangerous. The only thing that I'm worried about that prediction is it seems like All Blacks are totally prepared for this. So that could probably ruin my day. To be fair to the All Blacks, there's haven't been an inch of overconfidence from their part so far.
No, true. So let's move on then, and let's talk Wallabies versus Ireland. There's been a lot of positivity coming out of Australia about this first Wallabies squad and then also the Wallabies selection today. Surprising.
Yeah. They are like the world champion when it comes to rugby moaning, Australian fans. Damn, it seems like they constantly forget that they usually are ranked like 2, 3 or 4th in the world. They have 2 World Cups. They are like the greatest rival to the All Blacks, but still they somehow... That's probably the problem. It is a problem when you're so close to New Zealand because they keep comparing themselves to New Zealand all the time. And you're going to look bad then. You're always going to look bad then. But if you compare the Wallabies and Australian rugby to any other nation, it looked pretty good.
So big news here, or a couple of big news here. Will Genia, first game back from injury. Obviously Pocock back the first time in obviously a year with his sabbatical as well. So some big names back in this side. But
I was a little bit surprised in the lock selection there, that he went for Rona with Coleman.
Yeah, Roda and Coleman.
Roda, yeah. A little bit of surprise.
Isaac Roda, he's been was playing last year as well, so I'm not massively surprised. But
I was expecting Simmons actually, but that's me.
Who's on the bench? So yeah, so maybe he's going to mix them up. As we go through. The surprise for me was Koroibete on the wing. I don't really think he's done that much for the Rebels this year.
Yeah, I agree too. The only 2 games he's been looking lethal, it's been against the Sunwolves, So, and one of those times Sunwolves was seriously depleted to playing their B team. So I agree with that selection. And if you're Joe Smith in this, who would you decide to kick the ball to? Israel Folau or Koroibete? It's not that you don't need to be a brain surgeon to figure that one out.
You don't. And the other bit that really confused me then was, okay, if you're going to pick Koroibete, fine. I don't agree with it, but understand. But also, hasn't he been playing in 11 for the Rebels?
Yes.
And you then put him in the 14 jersey, which is supposed to be the more defensive one, and you put Dame Hemlett-Petty, your other fullback, on the left wing, which really confused me. That just seems like the wrong way round to have those 2 players.
Yeah. We are going to have a few points where a little bit of overconfidence in the Australian camp maybe, because they are obviously very excited about Israel Folau's form at the moment, and he is, we all seen it. He's stunning at the moment. But it's kind of naive to expect the best box kicker in the world are going to pinpoint them in Folau's direction. Conor Murray will not do that. No way.
No, he won't. And that's another. We should probably just, another point is also they've gone for a 6-2 bench with only Nick Phipps and Reece Hodge in the backs. Reece Hodge obviously has been playing 10 a little bit for the Rebels. And there is a shortage of 10s available, so maybe that is part of that.
Yeah, but I also think that I think Shika is preparing because it seems like Ireland with their selection will be coming to after this. It seems like Ireland is more going to go for trying to smash them, so they have a lot of extra muscle in the middle. Among the forwards.
And it is interesting that they've got 2 locks on the bench. I've gone blank. In Simmons and then also Luke Ntui. So I expect both locks to get changed in this game. And also Pete Samu to come on, who's obviously had there's been a lot of press around his New Zealand release.
Well, we covered that already, haven't we?
I'm not sure we did actually, but yes. Hey, it's been covered enough already. Just so we're perfectly clear, it's a disgrace that New Zealand were in any way or shape or form suggesting he wouldn't be released. That's wrong. So there we go. Ireland then.
Well, I mean, if as a segue over to the Ireland selection here, I would also like to. I see a big problem in the Australian selection too. Is look at the height of the back row.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're going to have serious trouble in the line-out.
And this is a problem that they always have.
But now it's going to be accentuated.
As soon as you pick Pocock and Hooper, your line-out is always going to be targeted. And Ireland have got some proper line-out operators. They
do. I mean, not only have we two great locks, I mean, I would say Kieran Reid is probably the best line-out operator among the back rowers, but on the second place in the world, I would put Peter O'Mahony for sure.
He's very good there.
So that's going to be a huge concern for them. But otherwise, there are lots of surprises in the Ireland. So I don't know really what. I mean, the easy logic to see from the Irish selection is that they're going to rest a lot of Leinster players, which of course makes kind of sense.
Yes, but to have what most people would consider to be your starting front row on the bench is an interesting one.
Yeah, I mean that could backfire, but they can also it could be a jackpot for them also.
Yeah, Cronin, Healy, and Furlong, when they come on with half an hour to go,
you're not going to worry about knock-ons then.
No, I think they're going to be absolutely fine for knock-ons at that point. But
I guess a super inexperienced Wallaby front row.
But I mean, Ty Furlong, obviously, British and Irish Lion. I'm trying to think whether Kane Healy was as well. I think he was, wasn't he? Or was Jack McGrath?
No, he wasn't. He wasn't. But he made an amazing comeback. And he's better than ever at the moment.
So that's an amazing front row for the bench. Some players, if you haven't been watching Ireland recently, Jacob Stockdale is someone you need to keep your eyes on. He's probably a name you don't recognise, but he will be extremely dangerous on that wing. Keith Earls is
top
in the
try
best
scorer in the Six Nations.
Yep, exactly. Keith Earls is in the best form of his life, so
indeed
as well. And you've got to remember he was someone that was selected to go on the South African Lions tour when he was something like 18 or 19. So a guy who has taken a long time to perhaps mature, but has always had lots of potential in him. Bundy Aki is a player that Australian fans might know quite well, having come over from New Zealand. Oh wow! I just read a note. Johnny Sexton on the bench and Joe Carberry starting. That's the other big one, isn't it? Wow! I didn't see that.
That's a big one.
So,
which is, I don't make sense about that one because obviously Murray and Carberry are going to play together in Munster for the next 2 years, so it's definitely a combination for the future. But to give them their first start together in a test away against the Wallabies, that's a brave call.
So, what is the point of the junior internationals in the grand scheme of things if you are a internationals coach? At the end of the day, the big thing is winning the Rugby World Cup. Okay, that's what you've really got to go for. And for Ireland, they have got to make a final. They've never made a final. And they're number 2 in the world. They were number 2 in the world just before the last Rugby World Cup. Should have potentially made a final. They're a team that should make. But the reason they didn't make that final was because they had a whole bunch of key injuries and hadn't built depth. One of the players they lost was Johnny Sexton.
Yep.
And so this might be part of that planning is, okay, what happens if we don't have Johnny Sexton? We really need to give our number 2 some proper experience before we get to the Rugby World Cup. I'd rather lose in Australia than lose in Japan. And I think that's
fair enough, Paul.
I think that's what this selection is.
Yeah, no, fair enough. That makes total sense. And also kudos to Joe Smith that he's not holding back about this. He's very, very clear what he needs to do to prepare his squad for the World Cup, and he's clearly set out to do it right away.
So it's interesting that he has done that. So now your colours for the masks are green or yellow. What's your prediction for this one?
Now with this Ireland selection, now I was pretty convinced that Ireland going to win if they put up the top starting 15, but now it's going to be even. But I still going to lean for a 3-point win for Ireland.
So I've gone. What did I go in for? I went Ireland by 5 in my predictions, and I always stick to my predictions once I've made them. So that one's okay. Then over to South Africa for the Springboks versus England. Now we've not actually seen this these lineups being named yet, but the Springbok selection I have. It's not the official one, but it's from the South African Rugby magazine. And as I told Paul before the show, they have nailed all Springbok selection the last 8 years without getting any name wrong. So they obviously have a source inside the camp. So, and they have put out their prediction, and it looks, and it plays very. You want me to go through it, or should we just take a couple of names here and there? No, let's run through the pack first.
The pack first.
Yep.
Okay. Then we have start from the front row.
Yep. Start from number 1. We have the Beast at number 1.
Correct. Then you have Bongo Mbonambi, plays hooker, and then you have Trevor Nyankane. Could be Vilko Löw too. That's the only one we are contemplating on. So that's the only place we consider that could be a surprise. But the first guess is going to be Trevor Nyankane. Locks, Snyman and Mostert. Back row, Vermeulen, Jean-Luc Duprez, or of course the new captain Silja Kolisi.
So let's just stop there. Simon at number 4. I'm a bit surprised by that one.
But who would you pick instead? They are injured, the other guys.
Yeah, maybe. You got Steph Toy on the bench.
But he was captaining beside him against Wales, so he had to travel back from the United States. So I thought that was always in the card, but Peter Steph Toy.
Sorry.
Going to start from there, but most likely he will start the next one.
Okay.
Unless Snyman have a blinder. Yeah, the half combo is going to be Faf de Klerk and Andy Pollard.
Now that does surprise me. I'm surprised Faf de Klerk's come back into this.
Really? He's probably player of the season. He was in the All-Star team from the Premiership, and the Wasp fans consider him being the best player of the season.
I get that, but I'm just saying that the not Wasp fans, you mean the Sale fans.
No.
But he was out of favour before he went up to England. He wasn't being picked even for the Lions. Never mind for the Springboks. So that's why I was a bit surprised. Perhaps to see him there is that I guess the change of coach has led to that. But yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was actually a huge mistake, but one of Ackerman's few mistakes in the Lions, that he dropped Faf de Klerk, because if you remember the Super Rugby final against the Crusaders, when Ross Cronje played the first 60 minutes, it looked like Lions couldn't score a try, because he's really, really slow. But Faf de Klerk have a real quick, snappy pass. And when he came in, when we only were 14 men, Lions almost turned that game around, if you remember. If that game had been 5-10 more minutes, they would probably have beaten the Crusaders in that one with 14 men. So I regard him very highly, Faf de Klerk. I mean, he is a small guy, but
he's a small guy. He's an energetic guy, which is what you kind of like to see from his scrum. But I say, this is a sign of one of the signs of having a new coach.
Yes.
This isn't down to injuries. This is him saying, "This is my man." Which has gone again. Which is, as I say, considering how he fell out of favour last season, he's made a good comeback.
Very much so, very much so. But also, you have to say, there haven't been really any other scrum halves who have raised their hand either in South African rugby lately.
True. So then we go Pollard at 10 with Delende and Am in the centres. Bit surprised.
Correct.
I've got the same page you have up, so don't worry.
I mean, there are some news here, because today they released that both Bismarck de Vlies and Francois Steyn will not play in the series. They're both declared injured by their clubs, so they are not coming, which is making things look a little bit rosier for England, I would say. They were never considered for selection in this game, but they're out of the whole series. They're not going to. So I think Am was always going to be selected. Delende gets probably selected because this is Osterhuisen, the one who played in the Bulls Center. He's probably...
Delaney's had a decent season, but he does have a history of not passing.
Yeah.
And if you go off his previous records, which England might do, rather than looking at what he's done this season, then I can see that you would just basically, as soon as he gets the ball, don't drift, because it's not going any wider. But he has improved his passing, to be fair. But historically, that's definitely been one of his weaknesses.
Yeah, but if you want to, like a crash runner at number 12, De Allende is good, but I would say that Esterhuizen is even better if you want just someone who's going to crash the line non-stop. He's even more powerful.
You got Van Rensburg as well as another player who could do that kind of job.
Yeah,
but that's not there.
Yeah, let's say but that's definitely a position in the Springboks team that's not nailed by any means here. That's if De Allende going to keep that jersey, he better perform, and he better perform right away.
And then a back three of Dante, Nosk and Leroux. Leroux obviously has had a fantastic season with Wasps. Dante's been scoring tries for fun in Super Rugby as well.
Two debutants on the wings. But these are two very, very promising debutants. Especially Dante. I've been a fan from him from the first second I've seen him, because I can give a little bit of background info about him, because again, I hope everyone takes this the right way. There have been a lot of wingers from South Africa of color who are proper sprinters, but there are some other parts of the game that are not that good, because basically they haven't been raised they haven't been rugby players for that long. They probably learned to play rugby when we reach high school and gets picked on the wing because they have great athleticism and are very, very quick. Jante has grown up in a rugby family and started playing. He has 3 big elder brothers who all play rugby. His uncle and father also play rugby. He has been playing rugby since he was 5 years old, and he pretty much played in every position in a rugby team since being a kid. So, if you watch him carefully in the game, you can see one big. First of all, he has amazing defense. He hardly ever misses a tackle. He always reads the situations right, and this always comes from obviously someone who played rugby for a long, long time. So I have a high expectation of him. That could be like a season bolter in World Rugby, the one who stands and pick up a breakthrough player of the year. He's one of my candidates before the season even starts to pick up that. We'll see if he delivers, but he certainly have the talent and the goods to be a world-class player.
So that's who we're expecting to be the South African team. The England team haven't been mentioned yet. But they're missing certain players. I expect Jamie George to start with Luke Cowan-Dickie on the bench, but with no gone blank as to who I'm talking about. Anyway, the normal captain is missing.
Hartley,
that's it, Dylan Hartley. Thank you. On the assumption that that the people who were playing finals 2 weekends ago are eligible, are going to be up. You're going to have Mako Vunipola on one side, and probably Ellis Genge on the other.
Sinclair or Williams, that's maybe a tricky Sinclair. One to predict. Yeah, maybe Williams haven't played since January, I think, but he will on regular. If he wasn't coming us back from injury, he would probably be the first choice there. But I doubt Eddie going to throw him right in.
With Launchbury is having a injury assessment, but basically Toji will start there with Launchbury if he's fit. Otherwise, it's going to be Izeski, I'd have thought, from Saracens. And then the back row is going to be an interesting choice. Personally, I would start with Billy Vunipola and Brad Shields and Chris Robshaw, but there's lots of talk of Tom Curry, I believe, getting a start.
Yeah, but I wouldn't start. Even if I rate Brad Shields, I wouldn't start him. Come on, he came to South Africa on Monday, had 2 training sessions with the boys. That would just be no. That's not the way to introduce someone to test rugby. I mean, I'm pretty sure he's going to start next week, but this week the bench spot would be good enough for him this week. Even if I'm sick and tired of watching Chris Robshaw playing rugby. I respect him. He's a quality operator on a certain level, but on test rugby, I'm like, this is going to be a high-paced game because South Africa is going to 100% for sure bring it with a lot of inspiration. They're going to show the crowd this is the new South Africa. They're going to smash. It's going to be high tempo, and it's not Chris Robshaw's type of game.
So yeah, but it's going to be Chris Robshaw. Okay, so for Chris Robshaw then Curry and Billy Vunipola. Ben Youngs will start at scrum half with George Ford.
You reckon we're going to go? We're not going to go Farrell at 10 against South Africa?
I think they'll go.
You don't think there's any chance they're going to play now?
I think they'll go Ford Farrell, especially with Tio missing. I think it's going to be Ford, Farrell, Slade, with Elliot Daly.
I think we're going to go. I think we're going to go Losowski
ahead of Slade
next to Farrell.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then so Elliot Daly on one wing, Johnny May on the other, and Mike Brown at fullback.
Yeah, unfortunately. I'm so tired of seeing him and Robshaw. Like because is Eddie planning on keeping both of them until the World Cup next year? Because we're not 2-1s for the future for sure, And you think we can get like a second wind and start performing again?
That's how. You're just going to look at the selection. You've got Farrell, Lozowski, and Slade as your centres available. You're going to be playing. You're going to be playing three playmakers at the end of the day, which is going to.
But Losowski actually have some bite in his tackle. He's not like a typical playmaker. He's much more suited to play the centre than at least when Farrell is.
So you're thinking I might go, but and Piers Francis can also obviously play 12 as well.
But what is? Everything is relative, eh?
Having watched him play for the Blues quite a few times, fine player for the Blues, but nothing special, and definitely not someone I really want to see playing for England. To be honest, I don't. Yeah, I'm not so convinced he's that level of player. But yeah, to see basically 6 playmakers being picked in this side in the squad. You've got Cipriani, Ford, Francis, Farrell, Lozowski, Slade.
Yeah, and it's a mess of a squad, isn't it? It's a mess.
And there's not one bash it up centre.
Yeah.
And you look at your wings again. Elliot Daly.
Elliot Daly. Sorry,
you can't even. It's not even like having Julian Surveyor who you can bring off the wing to bash it up the centre either. There's no one big in this side in the backs.
Against South Africa. The Springboks in South Africa, where you can expect nothing. Nothing else but straight hard running.
Yep, but hey, it's that's how he's gone. But it's going to be interesting. It's how he was heading against on the tour to Argentina during the Lions tour as well, trying to play 3 playmakers. Clearly, he has something in his mind around doing that. And with Tio out and this squad selected, he has no choice. Now, whether that's correct or not, it's a different ball game. But that's how I think we'll see him going. I've been a massive fan of Henry Slade for years. I'm an Exeter Chiefs fan. I really want to see him get a run of games and an opportunity to show what he can do at this level.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a contrasting styles, I think, is how we can.
But what I think, obviously we haven't seen the squad, but it makes sense that he will go for as many Series boys as he possibly can, because we're all coming from a rich vein of form. We are by some distance the best club in England at the moment, and they pretty much have all the star players, and it's probably going to be 7 Saracens players in the starting 15.
Right. Sorry, I was going to go throw another log on the fire to try and keep warm.
All right. So then I can speak to you, dear listeners and viewers here. But yeah, to me it makes perfect sense that Eddie Jones is going to go for pretty much all his Saracens boys in the starting 15, because Eddie Jones needs a result now also. He's under serious pressure from Fleet Street and English fans too, because we are usually Eddie Jones like to create a siege mentality, but this time he doesn't have to create it. It's there already. And now we shall see our dear host Paul who's living in freezing New Zealand, not in warm Thailand like I do, if he's done with his putting on some. There you are. I tried to entertain them with some. I tried to entertain your listeners a little bit with my Saracens theories. That basically Eddie Jones needs a result. He's under serious pressure, and to make it easy for himself, go for as many Saracens points as possibly can.
Yeah, and that's not been dissimilar to how he's been doing it all along, to be honest. I've got England by 3, but I'm wearing an England jersey, so perhaps that's more heart over head. How do you see it going?
I probably go England by a couple of more points. I go with England by 7 points, and not because I'm like super impressed by England, but there are a lot of overconfidence about the South African side because there isn't one single gelled or settled combination on that South African side. Not one single, To expect this is as much of a scratch side as you ever can make up a scratch side. But they all of a sudden gonna click in the first game and everything, and all the selections gonna be spot on. I mean, it's a pipe dream. It's a pipe dream. I mean, it can happen, but you would be extremely lucky if they can pull it off. I'm expecting much more from South Africa in Test 2 and 3.
Well, people in the chat are going with the Springboks by 6 or by 8, so it looks like it's splitting opinion.
So dear viewers in the chat room, have you contemplated that South Africa doesn't have one settled combination, not one?
Well, that's
no.
We're not going to ask them to explain their decisions. They have just they're going with that because they watch Super Rugby more than the other competitions. So Argentina versus Wales, we don't have an Argentinian side yet. I've not seen it, but let's be honest, it's going to be effectively the Jaguars.
We can basically pick the last. Only difference there is Matera is come back surprisingly fast from his injury, so he will be back playing number 6 again.
So that's the only change. Wales.
There is an injury scare also in the Argentinian camp about Nicolas Sanchez. He hasn't been training for full this week. That could be huge because they don't have another fly half in the camp, which is beyond me. His fear is he's going to use Boffelli to play 10, but that's also Boffelli is excellent on the wing, and he also proved to be excellent on the fullback. He's one of the best players in Argentina, I would say. His form this season qualifies him to almost call him like that's a world class back free player, and to move him around all the time doesn't make sense to me. I mean, if you have top class player, let them do their core job. He's going to score tries for you. He's not going to score any tries if you play fly half for you.
Yeah, that's a wild one. I'm amazed by that. So if Sanchez isn't there, then my prediction's even more safe than it was. Actually, no, my prediction's totally out the window then because I'm backing Argentina to win this one. I went. Let me bring in check what number am I? I went Argentina by 3 in this one. If Sanchez isn't there, then I'll be wrong, basically.
Yeah, on his form at the moment, you could probably say he's worth at least 7 to 10 points the way he direct that side around the park at the moment.
Not just that, but also the fact that the drop off to the next guy. As we say,
it's massive.
It's a massive drop. Great player, not a fly half. And has not been playing there all season, so no.
And also, I mean, to taking away Boffelli from the wing too, Boffelli is probably almost gives you about a try per game too when he plays in the wing. When he plays fullback, he gives also he doesn't score as many tries, but he contributes massively to attack.
Yeah, totally. So let's just a quick look at the Welsh side, and quite a. Wyn Jones, D, Lewis across the front row, Beard and Corey Hill in the locks, and then Seb Davis, James Davis, and Ross Moriarty in the back row.
There's one big surprise there. I mean, there's someone who's going to be pretty bad mood in the Welsh camp. That's Jenkins, who was appointed tour captain. And they didn't pick him. That's not what you expect, huh?
Well, true, but that's not what I would call. That's not the kind of the Welsh pack. There's no Alwyn Jones. There's no. I've gone blank as to the Welsh captain, number 7.
Warburton.
There's no Warburton. This is not the kind of pack that there's no Toby Filatau. This is not the kind of pack that we're kind of used to seeing by any stretch.
No, it's not even close to the first. I mean, and also the one who was like breakthrough players for them in the Six Nations to cover up was it Singler?
Yep, Sinclair's
Aaron Singler, who was sensational. Yeah, he's injured. I remember the other guy, I forgot his name too, the one with the dreadlocks.
Yes.
Who also came in and was brilliant. Sorry if I don't remember his name, but also both of it. So they are down basically on the third selections in the back row, except Moriarty being with a shot for a bench spot in the first selection. But
Ross Moriarty arguably is the starting number 6. But anyway, the Gareth Davis and Rhys Pratchell in the 9 and 10, which may be the new starting first choice combination with the previous combination having moved out of Wales, and some comments have come out of Gatland today. Josh Navidi is a player we were trying to think of before. Thank you very much.
Just Navidi, thank you.
Yep. Then Hadley Parks. Now, to be fair, he did come in and play 12 well. Scott Williams in the midfield. George North, Josh Adams on the wings, and Helen Amos at 15. So again, some new names there for those people who haven't been watching Northern Hemisphere rugby in Josh Adams and Helen Amos, both definitely quality guys, but not Lee Halfpenny or Lee Williams, who are both the more experienced players and the British and Irish Lions.
Jonathan Davis too, we cannot forget either.
Oh yeah, Jonathan Davis is missing. So there's a lot of this is not a side that or not
very far from a first
choice side, and which obviously is building depth, giving all those lines a rest, which makes a lot of sense heading towards the Rugby World Cup. I think a much better way of doing things by Wales than say how England have done it by bringing all their lines on tour.
Agree.
So so I say I went Argentina by 3. How do you see this one going?
If Nicolas Sanchez is playing, I think we're going to win with a lot more. I'm going to go Argentina. It was Pumas with 10 points at least, because this is also very, very much. This is very much.
Where is me?
I don't have a picture of myself. That was my. Sorry. Damn! Now I lost myself completely.
With Sanchez playing, they win by more than that. But if he's not there, then Wales, I guess.
No, then I'm going to go Pumas by 3 points, because still it's very, very much a second string Welsh side, and it's a scratch side. Lots of new combinations. It's not like we're bringing in Scarlets with a few extra boys like we did with the Six Nations. We are Scarlets boys there, but it's so still the Pumas is going to have such an advantage to be a really, really settled side who have been able to prepare for this game for. Now we rested for 2 weeks, but we've also been in Buenos Aires playing the same side for the last 6 weeks, So I mean, you can't get better preparation for that. Only question mark for that is, of course, they changed the coach. They have Ledesma usually in the Pumas, and now we have Danilo Urukade. And there could be confusion there when you basically the same thing, but a new voice from the top are going to come in and tell you what to do. But Horukada would be more than stupid if he tried to change anything. I would basically just call, if I were him, I would call Ledesma. So, what should I tell the boys? Let's go there. Okay, that's. I mean, he should basically change as little as possible.
Yep. We should probably also just touch on Scotland, as they've named their side as well. I'm expecting them to beat Canada. You can check out my predictions, but they'll beat Canada comfortably. I've put by 15. But again, a lot of names that you won't.
Well, a lot of head scratching for me when I was looking for that. I like to pride myself. I know a lot of both rugby in both hemispheres, but that's what I got tested to. That's
so. Here we go. Alan Dale, Fraser Brown, Simon Bergen is the front row. Ben Toulis, Grant Gilchrist in the locks, and Marcus Bradbury, Jamie Ritchie, and Dave Denton in the back row. As far as the first choice, I don't think there's one first choice player there. There's none of the Greys. There's no Joe Barkley. There's no WP Nell.
Hamish Watson.
There's
no Hamish.
So yeah, that's an entirely second choice pack. Hildego Klein at 9 and Rudolph Jackson at 10. So again, not first choices there. James Lang, Chris Harris in the centres, and then a back three of McGuigan, Jones, and Kinghorn. Yeah, I don't think there's one first choice player in that entire starting 15.
No, it isn't. It isn't. I mean, that's not. I'm not going to stay awake to watch. Actually, I mean, there are limits to my highlights on YouTube will do just fine.
And looking at the subs, it's looking pretty similar. There's a lot of names there that unless you're a seasoned rugby player, seasoned rugby watcher, you will not recognise those names. Yeah, this is by far. This is totally different side to the side that Scotland played during the Six Nations. Still, they should beat Canada, who are not in a good place at the moment.
I think traditionally Scotland games against Canada in Canada, Scotland they usually win them, but they are very tight ones. And I think it's going to be a tight one too. Again, second selection scratch side against a guarantee first selection Canada team with actually a few quality players in there. Let's not forget that. We have seen
a fully professional side against a semi-professional side. If Scotland don't win this comfortably, then they need to have a serious look at themselves if they're trying to be a top 5 team side in the world.
Correct, but now I would go for a much smaller victory for Scotland. I would again go back to 5 points. 5 points win for Scotland.
They will. Okay. Cool. And that's pretty much the show. Let's just a few other games going on this weekend. Fiji versus Samoa, Tonga versus Georgia, and Japan versus Italy. That Japan versus Italy one is going to be particularly interesting. Obviously, we've got one of the top tier 2 teams playing the lowest ranked tier 1 team. So can we see a tier 2 over tier 1 victory? USA are also playing Russia, and that rounds things out.
Yep.
So,
what are you most looking forward to? What are you most looking forward to?
The Argentina Wales one I think is going to be interesting. It's good to see Argentina get up. I'll do post match analysis or post match reaction to that one. I'll also do post match reaction to the All Blacks versus France and the Wallabies versus Ireland. I wasn't looking forward to the French tour, but you have over the last couple of nights. You've brought me round and made me much more interested, and much more tempted to think that we could actually have some good games on our hands. So I'm starting to look forward to that one. I'm just surprised by all this optimism out of Australia. Is there something in it? Will they actually push Ireland close? Because I can't.
Well,
otherwise,
I saw an amazing. Do we have like 2 extra minutes?
Go on.
Okay, I'm just going to bring up a stat I saw about the tackle completion of Australian backs in Super Rugby.
Oh, okay.
Have you seen it?
No, I've not seen this one.
Oh, let's see if I can find it here. Damn, I should prepare better for these shows. Hold on. Let's see if I can.
Yeah, the money I pay you should be putting hours of effort into.
Yeah. I mean, it's horrible. What am I doing?
That's it. I'm finding you your entire match fee.
Shocking what I'm doing. Or maybe I can. Yeah. Well, we don't need to say, but the numbers basically, pretty much every player in the Australian among the Australian back who are selected are having tackling percentage between 50 and 60%. And if Ireland are going to plan to bash them with a lot of straight running with Bundu Aki and so on, it seems all of a sudden also makes kind of sense why we didn't pick Johnny Sexton, because maybe we think we don't need him.
There's also an element of how long will Johnny Sexton survive? Again, he does need wrapping and cotton wool a little bit. He does have a history of concussions and injuries as well. That might also be another reason.
Yeah, so and not the one I was looking for, but another one, like the Super Rugby top 5 missed tackle competition. Number 1, Kerevi. Number 2, Quagga Smith. Number 3, Foley Beale.
Actually, yeah, I'm surprised Kerevi's starting ahead of Kurandrani.
Yeah, me too. I mean, he is world class usually, but he hasn't been on form this season, has he?
So it's going to be interesting to see how that all pans out. Anyway, thank you very much for joining me. Everybody, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. I will be back doing live post-match reaction to the first MLR Rugby of the week, game of the weekend. Actually, there's two at the same time, just which I'm going to do yet. And then New Zealand versus France, Australia versus Ireland, and also Argentina versus Wales. And if South Africa, England turns out to be a cracker, I might even do a belated show like
if
in the
England
afternoon.
win, you will be here, but if England lose,
So I don't know. Well, should I try and avoid the result and watch it kind of Sunday lunchtime and then do a show after that? I don't know. We'll wait and see. Probably not. But hey, I'll be back for all of those games. So look forward to you joining me. Also, I'm going to be here back live again in an hour's time with my Major League Rugby predictions, and I will have Raymond on from the Seawolf pod to join me for that one. So do pop back in an hour's time if you want to hear about some American rugby. Goodbye, everybody.